No, and you just mentioned it. I wanted to ask you to end on, because you were fantastic. You were so great with the great Governor DeSantis, and this is past the paywall, so you can be totally on. What do you think went wrong there?
Um, a lot of people tried to criticize the campaign and the way they ran the campaign. Uh, my view of the campaign, and maybe this is Stockholm syndrome, okay? I was on the buses, I was on the planes, I was in the middle of it, right?
You were
Like,
attacked in one of the debates.
yes, personally attacked by Nikki Haley. But, and we would go hundreds of miles in a day and we would do lots of events. And I thought the ground game was very well done. Like from my vantage point, the parts of the campaign that I could see, I want to emulate, not in my campaign, say, but on my staff. Just like he is a great executive. When we would be on the bus from one event to the next, people would bring him just the right amount of information. He didn't try to micromanage. He would reject things, he would accept things. And I never saw him get mad at his staff. And I was just, the more time I spent with him, the more time I realized he had assembled a competent group there around him, and he had reason to be confident in their ability. Okay, so I think the indictments of Trump just sort of made it inevitable. People wanted to rally. They felt like the attack on Trump was an attack on Republicans, on all Republicans, and so there's a natural instinct to defend somebody, especially when you associate with them, even though maybe DeSantis was your favorite person. By the way, a year ago, I polled the DeSantis versus Trump. Actually, somebody else who was running for governor polled the DeSantis versus Trump, and I was supporting that person. So I got to see the poll. And DeSantis was beating Trump.
Yes.
In December. So this would have been 14 months ago.
It was like October, November, December of 2022. Yes.
He was riding that wave of everybody was disappointed because the red wave hadn't happened, except in Florida it happened because he had led by example. And so he was 10 points up on Trump 14 months ago. And I think what happened wasn't the campaign's fault. Yeah, you can always go back and say, well, you should have never been spending money in Texas, right? What were you thinking spending money in Texas? Well, when they were spending money in Texas, they didn't know Nikki Haley was going to be a thing, right? Like they thought it was them versus Trump, and they're going to have to go the long, if it had just been DeSantis versus Trump and they had spent all of their money in Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina, then on Super Tuesday, if it got blown out, they'd be like, you idiot, you focused on the first 4 or 5 states. And your campaign should have focused. So there's a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking, and maybe it's Stockholm syndrome, but everybody I interfaced with on the campaign was highly competent. And I just think it were circumstances outside of the governor's control, and a lot of them were outside of the staff's control. You could say they should have reacted quicker, but I just think it was almost inevitable that, after all of the indictments.
Yes, I also think the error I made in making many bets that the nominee would not be Trump is that Trump is running as an incumbent. And that did not occur to me. You can't take out an incumbent. Let's just hope. I mean, in a way, now I want Trump to win, because if he loses again this year, he's running 4 years again, and we'll just keep losing and losing and losing.
I haven't heard that reason for wanting him to run. But he's also an incumbent that you've had 4 years to forget about all the things he did that you didn't like.
Yes.
Like the COVID stuff and the warp speed and encouraging the states to shut down their economies, not building the wall, hesitating on January 6th to come out and tell people to go home. Like all of those things that people were upset with him about, they've forgotten now.